inoperative. Just how blind will America be? The world is on the edge of its seat, defeat on the horizon, very surprising that we all could see the plot and still could not. Let me do that part again. Just how blind will America be? The world is on the edge of its seat, defeat on the horizon, very surprising that we all could see the plot and claimed that we could not. Just how blind, America? Just as Vietnam exploded in the rice, snap, crackle, and pop could not stop people determined to be free. Just how blind will America be? The shock of a Vietnam defeat sent Republican donkeys scurrying down on Wall Street. And when the roll was called, it was Pepsi Cola and Phillips 66, Boeing, Dow, and Lockheed. Ask them what they're fighting for, and they'll never mention the economics of war. Ecological warfare, above all else, destroy the land. If we can't break the Asian will, we'll bomb the dikes and starve the man. America, the international Jekyll and Hyde, the land of 1,000 disguises, sneaks up on you but rarely surprises, plundering the Asian countryside in the name of Fu Manchu. Afraid of shoeless, undernourished Cambodians, while we strike big wheat bargains with Russia, our nuclear enemy. Just how blind, America? But tell me, who was around where Hale Boggs died? And what was the cause of LBJ's untimely demise?
Now listen, we could let this go for quite a while. I mean, you know, we're about halfway through the piece, but it just amazes me how even lyrically this song was created before I was born. And yet and still, the lyrics themselves are so relevant to what we are seeing play out in our federal government right now. The fact that he even references Rizzo and Philadelphia and what happened in that regard in so many different ways. Gil Scott-Heron was a visionary, and I know all of the alumni of Lincoln University who tune in on a regular basis are cheering for, you know, just knowing one of their notable alumni and hearing that composition as well. So we'll get into some more of that conversation, especially as it relates to depictions of college campuses in just a second. We want to remind you that today's Mojo is being brought to you by West Catholic Preparatory High School, enrolling for their summer camp. The deadline is June 10th. So if that is something that you would like to have happen for your young person, then you need to get on it because time is ticking. But it is the 11 o'clock hour on Friday, which means that Mike Dennis is in the house and Reelblack Radio is now set to commence. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Stephanie. Wow. Sounds so good. You playing all this stuff. We're on the FM band now.
Yes, indeed.
So it's not all like all click, click, staticky. It's all crystal clear.
You know, we try, and I want to respond to Rich K, who sent me an email, sent me a tweet saying that in Montgomery County he's hearing country music. Well, that is because, Rich, that in that part of our broadcast area, you are getting a different station coming through on that particular frequency. So we encourage you that you can download our app, or you can go to our website, wordradio.com, and click on our live stream. And that way you will get everything that we are broadcasting crystal clear from that perspective. But yeah, you are on that borderline where 96.1 is tuned to a different station that's coming from a different area. We are very Philadelphia focused in terms of the range of our signal right now, but we're working on it. We're working on it. We're trying to expand. That takes some negotiation with the FCC.
Okay, well, Patsy Cline notwithstanding, it's you know, it's good to be. I mean, it makes me think back. The first time I was ever on FM radio, I was 13 years old, and I bought a Mr. Microphone. I saved up for that Mr. Microphone. I was delivering papers. I saw the commercial, and everybody was like, sitting in the car. Hey, everybody, I'm on the radio. So I said, "Oh, that's me."
And you had to go way down to the end of the dial so that it would pick up the signal.
Well, not only that, but Mr. Microphone. Well, all those as seen on TVs, there's always a catch. I don't know if you ever had a Mr. Microphone.
No.
So the thing about it was, so yeah, you dial up to a certain frequency, and then you turn it on. You're supposed to talk and you can hear yourself on the radio. But the thing is, there was like a little wire that hung from the bottom of it that you had to cross the power cord of the radio, kind of.
Oh, really?
To pick it up, to really pick it up clearly. Otherwise, if you pull that wire off, you were in Patsy Clineville. So some odd years later, I'm back.
And he's happy about it, obviously. Shout out to the folks who are checking us out on Facebook Live. For those of you who would also like to be a part of the broadcast and you're trying to figure out the best way for you to tune in whenever Mike is in studio, we are doing live video on our Facebook page. So you can check us out there as well. Share the video so you draw more people in also. But done. Yeah, I just shared it. Yeah, no, it's exciting, because I mean, being on FM, that means we're about to blow up, Stephanie Renee. Oh,
we're moving up. We're George and Wheezy.
Yes, we George and Wheezyan
we
officially.
On up, so look out, Breakfast Club. Look out, Steve Hart. Look out, Tom Joyner.
We're coming for you.
We're coming. That's the beginning. That's the first strike. You mark the day. May 12th, 2017.
We're decidedly nerdier than them, though.
Oh, you're trying.
We're gonna have to find a new niche.
Well, no,
word?
They cross over
Nerdier?
us.
Yes.
Yeah, I fully claim nerdier. Yes, I am a nerd girl.
No,
and not ashamed. But nerdier, yes.
That's
a
a
superlative
real word.
of being a nerd or being nerdy. Yes.
Well, all the black radio franchises, Ricky Smile, a lot of it, kind of caters a similar demographic, so to speak. But
I am urban, but I'm not that brand of urban.
Well, this station never really was. We're sort of the antidote to that.
Yeah, and we're not trying to put on airs and be something different now. Just because we have expanded our signal, we are still who we are. We still do what we do.
But we got the power. So as that stands, so now I just need to make some ground rules now that we're ghetto famous on the FM style. I want to distribute a memo now. Anybody that sees me in the hallway, please do not talk to me. If you come in my dressing room, don't expect to be escorted out of my dressing room.
You think he the stuff?
Huh?
No.
I've been taking advantage.
People who have read it
in
know
my
precisely
chair.
where this is coming from.
So if you ask to speak with me, please make an appointment. It's very important.
So, ladies and gentlemen, those of you where this language sounds brand new to you need to know that Steve Harvey penned this memo subsequent to the beginning of the new season
Which I
of
think
his
he
show.
knew was going to be his last season in Chicago.
And yes, so basically he has developed these ground rules for how his staff are allowed to interact with him. He feels he has been ambushed in his makeup chair, that people have hovered around the door of his dressing room only to ambush him and try and sneak in information. And that is his time, his personal time, that he does not want to have interrupted. So this memo is saying, basically, unless you have an appointment, don't come at me with anything other than I'm about to go on stage. Yeah. Anything other than that is not allowed.
Well, it's been almost 2 years since that last book, and he needs time to dictate a new book because that's money that he's not making by not giving people
Think
advice.
like a man 4.2.
I'm gonna tell you how to live. I'm not gonna live that way.
No,
I'm gonna tell you how to live.
I don't do it. I've been married multiple times, and don't do as I say, not
How
as
to buy
I
a
do.
toupee?
I need time.
You know what? How to have 85 buttons on your suit.
Well, Steve Harvey, he's trying to get that Trump money so he can start his hair club. He's got to get us all hooked up and fixed up.
This book going to be called Mustache Aficionado.
No, but apparently
supposedly he shaved it off.
Well, it was never there.
The mustache was a hair club thing?
Oh, well, the mustache is gone. Yeah, the mustache.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I thought it was the hair on his head.
I wasn't talking about his head.
No, you have to go back to Evening at the Improv, 1985,
to see Steve
when he
Woodhead.
does that was his breakthrough when he does the Buster, whatever the thing, whoever punched Mike Tyson, and he pretended to be the guy's eye. That was hilarious. But he leans back and he says huge. Ring on his head. But anyway,
Wow.
yeah, shout out to Steve Harvey. So he's moving his show from Chicago to LA. It's very inconvenient. I can't even imagine how he would go and do that show on a weekly basis.
I was going to say,
or
because
whatever.
he also does Family Feud from LA, right?
They moved that to LA from Florida, and then he also has the little big shots, and then he's going to start Showtime with the Apollo.
Yeah.
He's just raking in the dough, and I'm sure it's a lot of stress and pressure, and he's just trying to maintain order. But and I don't think this memo would have leaked at all, honestly. But not only did he announce that he was going to move his show and retitle it Steve to LA for next year, but nobody from the current crew or staff was invited to work there.
Wow.
And then when they had the rap party, he disinvited a lot of the people from coming to the rap party. So suddenly this memo that he wrote over 6 or 7 months ago suddenly leaked to a reporter or blogger. And I don't know, maybe Steve hasn't paid up on his Make Me Happy dues, but every single outlet. Like, I was surprised. It was not just like Madame Noir. It was
let us
CNN.
Listen, that is a testament.
Deadline.
That is a testament to how far his star has risen.
Maybe so.
Because, hosting Miss Universe, in addition to all the other, hosting and appearances
Right.
that you just mentioned. I mean, say what you want to about the man and his personal ethics or his, personal goals, but he hustles on the work tip.
No doubt.
And people need to, just acknowledge that for what it is. But, I just think it's really interesting that in this era of governmental leaks and questionable judgment and everything else, because Steve chose to align himself, go visit Trump Tower in that transition between election and inauguration, that the same kind of that same kind of tactic would be used to talk about, some of what he does.
But it's just karma. I mean, if you're working with people and they're helping to build your empire, whatever that is, you still have to respect them. And like whatever and that memo and then the subsequent action is indicative of how he was treating his staff. So eventually, somebody's gonna say something, use the opportunity or whatever. So,
and I'm saying, we also need to understand that Chicago media people, and especially folks in our community, are a different breed than LA. It's just a different kind of environment. Chicago folks are known for their hustle. They are known to try and do what is necessary to get things done. LA is a different kind of vibe. Everybody's trying to network, and they're trying to, build the relationships in order to cement that kind of thing. I'm sure that he did get ambushed if he wants to characterize it that way, in the makeup chair or wherever else, because people in Chicago were like, I need an answer. I need to get this done, kind of situation.
Perhaps there's just ways of protecting yourself where people aren't like, I worked at the Cosby Show, back in the day. He was the most famous person on the planet at the time, and he had barriers and protection. Like a lot of it was people just didn't make assumptions that they could just walk up to the brother,
right?
And then there were certain things that he did in terms of like maintaining his space, that were just respected,
and that's what you hire people for.
Yeah.
Basically, I mean, you give somebody a job whose job is to be your fence,
right, in
between some of the nonsense. And I mean, when you have that kind of position, that kind of visibility, that's just something that you do. Which, not to disparage the memory of Whitney Houston, but that's, we have the same conversation when it's like, you don't get picked up for weed. That's what you have the intern for, or whoever else. If you gotta have it, then you don't carry it.
Yeah.
What sense does that make? That's what you pay people for. You go and then you bail them out later. That's their issue.
Okay. Well, I think you have the making of a book here. You need to record these and get with Steve's publisher.
These are the same conversations we have internally and that I have with my friends when I hear about people getting busted by their wives, their girlfriends, or by the law enforcement for dumb stuff.
Right.
And I go, how is it that you have not contemplated that this is not the sword you fall on?
Right. But clearly Steve is overworked, and he really, at some point, I think
but he's overworked by choice.
Well, he needs to put some time on somebody's couch and just figure out, like, when is enough money enough money?
Yeah, or enough exposure, enough bullets on the resume. Yes, I agree.
I mean,
with
even
you.
Dick Clark. I mean, he hired Ryan Seacrest and other people after a while. He didn't need to be up in everybody's face all the time. And he probably needs to take a step back in a way, because I think he's extremely overexposed in light of his Twitter fame.
This was my contention about Destiny's Child before Beyonce went solo.
Okay.
Because, listen, I mean, anytime I feel any pop culture group is overexposed, they are really overexposed. Because you got to work hard to find me. I'm not in the places where other people encounter you regularly.
Right.
You know, I don't listen to commercial music radio. I don't watch MTV and all that other stuff. So if I feel like every time I turn around, I'm seeing your picture in a magazine, or I'm hearing your song or whatever else, then you have crossed some boundary that means you are everywhere far too often.
Right. And you know, this memo, maybe it would have been different if it had come from somebody else. Like, he doesn't seem like he's got barriers protecting him, you know. So I mean, like, if it had come from his executive producer, please leave Steve alone, I don't think it would have been the same thing. But he's not even bringing her to L.A. So or him, whoever that is. I'm assuming it's a woman. But you know, so he kind of set himself up in a way. But it's just interesting. I mean, it's obviously slow. It's a distraction from the real news, which we should get back to Gil Scott and this whole idea of, and just as a prelude, ladies and gentlemen, if you are, we'll be announcing shortly our save the date for our Word Speaks for Black Music Month. And Gil Scott-Heron will definitely be within the range of what we will be discussing. As a part of that conversation. So June, we will definitely be digging into the idea of how artists like Gil Scott-Heron have left behind a legacy that we're curious to find out who feels is taking up the mantle in contemporary times. That will be part of the conversation, but we'll give you much more details on that in the not too distant future, so hang tight. We'll be bringing that to you shortly. But it's time for us to take our first break of today's program, and when we come back, we'll spend a little bit of time talking about a web series before we welcome your guest for today's program, because there's a lot of contemporary issues that are working themselves into a lot of this pop culture that is around us, and, you know, to varying degrees of success, according to the folks that are checking it out. So we'll come back to that and a short conversation about Dear White People on Netflix when we continue with today's edition of Reelblack Radio. Hang tight.
This is Judge Lucretia Clemens. I was appointed as judge of the Court of Common Pleas in Philadelphia by Governor Tom Wolf in 2016. I now seek election so that I may continue the work of ensuring a fair and impartial courtroom where those who come before me are treated equally and with respect. As a mother of 3 sons, I understand the concerns of the inequities in our justice system. We owe it to our children to do a better job of ensuring justice for all. On May 16th, please press button number 40 to elect Lucretia Clemens Judge. Paid for by Lucretia Clemens for Judge.
A place like Home 2, located 2276 Georges Lane, provides a clean and active environment for people who have dementia, Alzheimer's, and physical disabilities. A place like Home 2 offers older adults a wide variety of services in a protective group setting, including referrals, daily cognitive therapy, podiatry, exercise, and so much more. Free transportation is possible. If you're looking for a place like home for your loved one, call 215-878-1200.
I'm a second grade teacher.
I teach Spanish to high school students.
I love going to work every day. I had so much support.
It's an amazing experience, and I wouldn't work anywhere else.
It's a wonderful place.
The School District of Philadelphia is hiring right now. If you want to make an impact in a student's life, then join us and become a teacher for the School District of Philadelphia. Apply online today at jobs.philasd.org. That's jobs.philasd.org. Make an impact today.
Now through May 31st, Art Sanctuary hosts the 33rd annual celebration of Black Arts, one of the oldest and largest of its kind, bringing more than 14 events to venues across the city. This Saturday, join Art Sanctuary for the celebration of Black Arts Literary and Arts Conference, Macy's Family Fun Day at the African American Museum of Philadelphia, 701 Arch Street. Bring the family and be there to meet some of the region's most talented authors and artists. Also participate in the workshops, panel discussions, poetry, and author readings. Word Radio will be broadcasting live. For the full list of events, visit celebrationofblackwriting.org and follow Art Sank Philly on Twitter.
What's up, y'all? It's your man's Dwelle representing Detroit City, but I'm right here in Philly. When I'm in Philly, I'm checking out WURD.
This is the place they say people come from far, far, far away to find their dreams, chasing down these meteors and comets called dreams in the sky of life. Chasing them, chasing them, chasing them, chasing them. There's certain hot spots where these meteors and stars have tendency to fall. A legend has it that California is one of those spots. I believe that to be true. They say this is the place stars are born. They say this is the place legends are made. They say this is the place where angels congregate. Yeah. They say that this is the place where it all can happen for you, for you, for you, for you. California knows how to make dreams seem so sweet. California knows how to whisper in your ear and tell you you're a star, you're a star, you're a star, you're a star, you're a star.
From the soundtrack of Biker Boys. So shout out to Gina and Reggie. By the
Shots fired.
Indeed. And I didn't see this week, so don't talk about it.
Okay.
Because I got to go back and watch it on demand. Because I really appreciate that show. And I'm glad that it's here to help us also think about the role of protest and what it means to seek justice, and our role in all of that. But that song is called California, as you can probably tell, by the artist formerly known as Mos Def, now as Yasin Bey. And as we were listening to this off mic, Mike was saying that ties us back into Gil Scott-Heron.
Yeah, well, we're in our 15th anniversary. Actually, the last week of June, last week of this month is the anniversary of, or last month of June rather, is the 15th anniversary of Jazzy Fat Nasty's documentary and Philly Boy, which premiered the same week 15 years ago. So I've been going through the archive and digging out tapes and putting like our little shout outs. Like anytime we interview somebody, we put like their little, I'm so-and-so and you're watching Reelblack.
Yeah.
So, I've got dozens, if not hundreds of those tags.
Mm-hmm.
So one was with Gil Scott-Heron when he came to World Cafe Live in 2008. We interviewed him.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was looking at the interview again. It was very fascinating because I thought we had put the whole thing up, but there's a lot of stuff he's talking about politics and race and things that we had kind of left out. It was kind of a scattershot interview, but I may eventually put the entire raw footage up. I just have to assess it. But one of the things that we asked him was like, who's sort of taking the weight? Who, in his estimation at the time, 2008 was following in his footsteps, and he mentioned a few names, but specifically Mos Def for his writing and his acting. He said he was the most important artist.
Wow. That's wonderful.
So, yeah.
I mean, just to have the acknowledgement of a venerable elder in that way for doing what you do, because I don't ever feel like that Yasin or Mos, however you think of him, kind of catered to a particular anything. I think he did what he enjoyed doing, and he found his own audience, And, you know, he made the statements that he wanted to make. He drew people in to all different kinds of artistry as he wanted to share it. And that's been kind of neat.
Well, I mean, you need your elders. You need everybody sort of models themselves after something or somebody. It's nobody comes in fully formed, and then you connect with things. You see things, you say, I kind of want to be like that. And then, you know, you don't want to know about me in my high school days. I was trying to be everybody. had a huge identity crisis, but you know, settled into whatever I am now, and that's pretty cool. But I was talking to some young kids, the Poppin' folks in Nueva Cabral. They invited me to do a podcast thing, and I'm talking to them, and it's sort of like, you know, they were concerned about all these Hollywood remakes. You know, like, wow, you know, it's getting a little tired. How many Fast and Furiouses can you make? How many of this can you make? And it's sort of like, well, you know, it's as long as they make money, they're going to keep making them. And it's nice that Fast and Furious is so successful. It's got black folks in it. But then if something makes money, like Get Out, you're going to see a bunch of movies that are challenging. And also it signals when a movie, when you know, sort of like when something is successful and artistic, then it inspires other artists.
Yeah.
But, you know, so I think that when I saw Get Out, I felt challenged. I want to be part of this conversation too. But, you know, I think we were fortunate coming up at a time, like Mos Def's time, you know, where, you know, you're building off of the past, and sampling was kind of legal.
Yeah.
You know, it's sort of, I think the legal system is what shut down the creativity.
I was going to say De La Soul is my favorite hip hop ensemble of all time, and they went through hell and high water over 3 Feet High and Rising because of the samples.
Right. So part of it is educating yourself. I mean, clearly Mos Def owns every Gil Scott-Heron record. He might even have some outtakes that we don't even know.
Right.
You know, so you have to honor your past and your legacy. But yeah, and sometimes you have to go where the water is fresher. You know, so I again, you know, I'll reiterate what I said to these young people. It's just like, you know, if you're trying to be an artist, you have to just dig deeper. You can't, if you just copy what's popular or the top 10, you're not going to go anywhere. You're not going to be able to explore yourself or inspire other people. You're not going to be able to connect with people. So, so that's what's my word of the day.
And so we're getting ready to bring on our guest, but want to, for this hour, also issue the call to those of you who are still trying to lock down your Mother's Day weekend plans. I have another 3 pairs of tickets, courtesy of our friends at Platinum Productions, for the Mother's Day weekend concert featuring Carol Riddick, Kim, Gladys Knight, and Maze featuring Frankie Beverly tomorrow night, Saturday, May 13th at Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City. And there are some caveats to this. You also get tickets to the official after party at Bally's Casino. So you have to be able to come down and pick up these tickets today, because you got to use them tomorrow. And just be clear that with tickets to the show and tickets to the after party, you might want to plan on staying overnight, because that's going to be a long, great filled evening.
Yeah, and if you're taking Mom, she's not going to be wanting to drive.
I'm just saying. So, you know, just think about that as you make your plans. But you got to get down here before close of business today in order to pick up these tickets and take advantage of them. But it's going to be a great show, and you get the tickets to the after party so you can have a great time. So for those of you who have not won anything in the last 30 days, 215-634-8065, toll free at 1-866-361-0900. Kayla J will take down your information while we welcome our guest.
Right on. Yeah. So, yeah, we're talking about the importance of elders. We're talking about the importance of elders, and with us on the line is a young man who was on earlier when he was raising money for this project. And I'm happy to announce that he completed it. It's available online. With us now, Tony Chennault, the creator of Oldhead, the web series.
Yes, indeed. Welcome back, Tony.
Thanks for having me on.
Hey, so congratulations. Yeah, I was watching season 2 this morning. So tell for folks who don't know, tell us about Oldhead.
Well, Oldhead is a web series that was created back in 2014 with the intention, to talk about some of the older figures in our communities and the relevance they had over leading the younger generation. And creating this project, we wanted to to call back those authority figures to our community. And we also wanted to give an authentic depiction of what goes on with our community, talking about some of the social economic issues such as drugs, violence, and, and the lack of resources, people of color have.
Yeah, no, recently there was, I'm sure you saw this viral clip. These young guys were standing on the corner about to fight and really get into it, and this older gentleman just walked in.
Yeah, that was in Atlantic City. I've seen that. That's the type of old heads we want to encourage and motivate to be around our young people, to tell them the truth of what is what, because sometimes, young people are misled by media.
Yeah.
I mean, they follow, status quo, what's relevant in the media. Sometimes, perception is not always reality.
Right, but you lead us into it by showing us a little bit of, a little bit of the crime and things that take place on the streets. It all takes place in Philadelphia, know. But I love how you juxtapose sort of the what the young people doing, the criminal things. I guess it's sort of gang-related stuff with the brothers on the corner playing chess, really doing their best as individuals to stop the violence, to try and diffuse all this.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's some of the things we stress in the show. We're not trying to promote violence, but at the same time, we have to give an authentic depiction if to the young people that if you make certain decisions, these are the consequences that come along with those decisions. So that's one thing we stress in the story. And I don't know if you got a chance to watch the whole thing through, but we talk about other issues like far as the sugar tax, how has that affected people in our community, people not being able to afford sugary drinks no more. We talk about politics. We talk about other issues that's just a big part of the social economic, social economic powers that we're fighting constantly.
No, absolutely. So, I mean, the question comes to bear, who were the old heads in your life? Who do you look back to as inspiration?
I had different coaches. I was blessed, me being able to play basketball, during my younger days. I had coaches and just different mentors in my neighborhood who just kept me on the straight and narrow path, who taught me right from wrong, who taught me, the purpose of being the right person, who taught me the value of, your word is bond. When you say something, make sure you follow through with it. So those different, lessons and things that were taught for me at a young age are still in me now, and it's part of the makeup of the person who I am.
No, absolutely. I mean, and as we talked before, you started out as an athlete, but
yeah.
You use that. I mean, it just created a gateway. I mean, I don't know what your dream was, but I know that Villanova connection opened the door for you to becoming a filmmaker. Can you speak to that?
Absolutely. At Villanova, it's a great university. There, I attended Villanova with a full athletic scholarship. I was captain of the basketball team. During my senior year, I just started taking different film courses. And then there was this professor, Steve McWilliams. I took an intro to writing class, and I took an acting class, and I fell in love with the filmmaking process. And then from there, this guy, he took an interest in me. He taught me how to write scripts. He taught me how to shoot. He taught me, far as editing and different things like that. And I just took it and I ran with it. And, sometimes being from the inner city, you don't think it's possible to be a filmmaker. You don't see too many people of color, especially when I was younger, that was filmmakers. The only person I kind of recognized was Spike Lee, but I didn't really know about any other filmmakers that was African American. So I want to break that barrier. Like, hey, man, we could be anything we want if we're willing to put the work in for it.
Right. Do you feel that the definition of old head has changed over the years? Because I wonder, we talk so often about people kind of growing up around the way but moving away. And so, is there a new age bracket, I guess, for old heads? How do you define it?
That's a good question. I define an old head an old head could be somebody that's 16. I don't think old head is based on age. It's based on wisdom. Because everybody's life experiences is different. So it could be a 16-year-old that had more life experience than somebody that's 30. So I think it's based off your life experience and the knowledge that you're given, you're paying forward. And it don't have to be necessarily somebody younger. It could be one of your peers that you're giving knowledge and wisdom to. So, but like I said, nowadays we don't have that no more. We don't have nobody that's giving wisdom and knowledge, that's taking time to mentor our younger people. You know what I mean? You got younger people who are being, like I said, raised by social media.
Yeah.
And music videos, which is deception, is not real.
Right. But your show, I mean, it's providing platform for getting some of these ideas out. Now, it's available right now exclusively through your website?
Yes, it's available exclusively through our website, and all the funds that we raise for our website are going to go to us filming season 3. So that's why we're doing a campaign right now on oldheadwebseries.com. They can stream all the episodes of season 2. The campaign will last another 3 or 4 weeks, and then we'll make it available and free for everybody. We understand that a lot of people can't afford it, but at the same time, we want to drive some type of revenue so we can have initial funds for going into season 3 when we shoot this fall.
Right. And, you know, I mean, this phenomenon of crowdfunding is something that we talk about so often here on the program. Explain sort of how you have embraced it as the way to have the seed money that you need in order to keep your good idea going.
It's a grind, you know. It's something. When you're crowdfunding, it's a project and it's stuff. Meaning you have to create cool incentives to different people that's making contributions to your project. You have to be resilient. You have to be consistent, constantly following up with folks, saying, "Hey, man, can you please, do you mind just sharing this?" Because let's say it might not be somebody that can make a contribution or donation, but they might have a friend who can help out with your project. So I just think the biggest thing with crowdfunding is being consistent, and you have to be relentless with it for you to reach your goal.
Nice.
No doubt. Yeah. So, I mean, the previous season was available basically for free on YouTube for customers. Yes. Now you're asking, like, it's $4.99 an episode. Why did you make the decision to make that change?
Because I wanted to. I feel like the content improved drastically. I'm pretty sure as you watched it, Mike, you could see the difference.
Oh, it looks like a real movie. I mean, I shouldn't even say real movie. It looks like a movie I'd see on TV, or it's tight.
Yeah, and it's like we do everything from an independent perspective. Like, we don't have no machine behind us, so these things cost. So, yes. and saying that, we know a lot of our consumers can't afford it, but for our core audience, our core group of followers who wants to see it, that have $5 to make that contribution to watch an episode, we want to make it available for those people from an exclusive certain amount of weeks. So, like I said, we can have money going into season 3.
Yeah.
To provide us with initial funds. If we have to shoot a pilot, then we have to raise the money again. But as long as we have some type of initial X amount of dollars going into season 3, that was just our purpose of doing the streaming.
No doubt. There's definitely a market for it. And, we had some other brothers on. They got picked up, I think, was it by Revolt or something? Mm-hmm. Or Lionsgate picked up their thing for streaming. So, and people drop a nickel on all kinds of stuff. So why not only be entertained, but support an idea that is important for the community.
Absolutely.
So like I said, I mean, it's like equal parts of Wire, but also there's some wisdom in there. And I know you're putting people to work too. So
absolutely,
and it's
a lot of people to work. And like I said, we compensate our actors and crew. These things cost. We sometimes we shoot weekends, but sometimes we shoot 16-hour days. So you got to think about food, traveling, compensating the crew, the cast members. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Without a doubt. So it's oldheadwebseries.com.
Yep. All 5 episodes are available. We be in this weekend. Also, we have a short documentary of all the BTS footage. That we have a guy named Drew, who's actually a Villanova alumni too as well. He filmed a BTS documentary that will be available on the website this weekend as well.
Right,
and that will be free.
And then season 1, where can we find that if we want to get caught?
Season 1 is on YouTube. So anybody want to go watch season 1 just to get caught up before you stream season 2, just type Oldhead Web Series on YouTube, and you can binge watch it. You can watch all the episodes straight through.
Tony, I mean, I ran into Tony at the Sundance workshop this week.
Nice.
So he's for real about it.
Out there, boosting up his body of knowledge for how he's going to stay in the game.
No, he's for real about it. I mean, and there's lots of web series. This one, to me is one to be supported. Check it out. It's Philly, and these guys are growing. I mean, they're not going to be stopped. I can tell you that.
Nice. Well, we appreciate you making some time for us today, Tony, and we wish you much continued success with the series.
Yep. Thanks for having me. You guys enjoy the rest of your day.
You too. Again, that's Tony Chennault, ladies and gentlemen. Oldheadwebseries.com.
Yes.
Is where you can find season 2, where you can pay to watch them and make sure that you are contributing to the ongoing process of a locally produced, created series and feel good in supporting that and allow them to keep doing their thing. That's an important thing for us here in Philly.
And it's pretty good. It's well written, well acted. You know, it's like I said, equal parts of Wire and a little bit of Juwanza Kunjufu.
All right.
If I want to pull a name out. Y'all need to go Google that one. I don't know where that.
We're paying honor to our elders and the wisdom that they drop on us as well.
And shout out to my mother. I gotta say, I love you, Mom.
Oh,
happy Mother's Day.
There it is. Well, we'll talk a little bit more about that because there's some other things that are going on in our political landscape today that's supporting that idea of love for mothers and everything. But you know, we'll talk more film and TV before we let you go today, Mike. So hang tight. We're going to take a quick commercial break and come back and conclude this week's edition of Real Black Radio in just a moment.
Don't miss the 10th year anniversary of the Black Male Development Symposium this Saturday, May 13th, on the campus of Arcadia University, 450 Southeastern Road. More than 30 workshops include Freedom Now, Protest and Politics in the 21st Century, Overcoming the School-to-Prison Pipeline, Family and Relationships, and many more. Join us and our surprise guests for real talk in our Ease Barbershop Talk session. Register today at blackmaledevelopment.com or by calling 215-572-8510.
Tune in to Word Radio for conversations with Sheriff Jewel Williams and guests for an engaging monthly 1-hour program addressing issues that affect our communities. Sheriff Jewel Williams, the first Saturday of each month at 1. Only heard on Word. Now through May 31st, Art Sanctuary hosts the 33rd Annual Celebration of Black Arts, one of the oldest and largest of its kind, bringing more than 14 events to venues across the city. This Saturday, join Art Sanctuary for the celebration of Black Arts Literary and Arts Conference, Macy's Family Fun Day at the African American Museum of Philadelphia, 701 Arch Street. Bring the family and be there to meet some of the region's most talented authors and artists. Also participate in the workshops, panel discussions, poetry, and author readings. Word Radio will be broadcasting live. For the full list of events, visit celebrationofblackwriting.org and follow Art St. Philly on Twitter.
I've been victim of the stop and frisk policy when I was younger. It felt humiliating because they're touching me. It felt scary. I didn't really have control of the situation. I didn't know if I was going to be taken to jail. Larry Krasner holds corrupt police officers accountable for their wrongdoings. When I needed Larry the most, Larry was there for me, and he didn't let me down. And I'm not going to let him down. If we have one honest person in the position of district attorney, then that'll make a drastic difference. I feel like people should know that Larry believes in justice, that Larry believes in fairness, and that he's not afraid of police. And to me, that makes me feel like Larry's Batman. Batman in a suit.
On May 16, go for a walk to the polls and hit button number 57 for me, Larry Krasner, for DA.
Paid for by Lawrence Krasner for District Attorney.
You are listening to The Mojo on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM. Embrace and explore your black magic.
Make it funky. Okay.
Everybody knows that tune as being originated by the Meters. The version I'm playing for you now comes from the album Medicated Magic from the Dirty Dozen Brass Band, also featuring Robert Randolph. And that, of course, is their remake of the classic soul number Sissy Strut.
Sissy Strut. No, the trombone is killing. You just, were you stalking my gram? You know, the king of this. This is, I just put this up this morning.
Don't think we're ghetto, y'all that are checking us out on Facebook Live. Because, you know, new iPhones don't have a jack. So
well, let's see if this works.
He's going to try and do it on the microphone.
That's great. All right, so last thing. Excellent. If you could look right into the camera, say your name, and you're watching Reelblack.
This is Fred Wesley, and I'm watching Reelblack.
Okay, all right. Everybody does this, so it's just normal. You're watching Reelblack. So
you're watching.
I'm Fred Wesley, and you're watching.
Oh, okay.
Everybody does it. Don't feel bad.
Okay, no, I'm
just Reelblack.
Okay. Hi, I'm Fred Wesley, and you're watching Reelblack.
Yeah, so this
indeed legendary trombonist.
Part of the archive, yeah. Yes. Well, is the musical director for James Brown for so many years.
Yes.
And we had a chance to see him. He was in D.C. 9 years ago for a movie called Soul Power, which was a documentary about all the black artists, black American artists who traveled to Africa for the first time, like Bill Withers and James Brown and stuff, and
to play for the Rumble in the Jungle.
Yeah, amazing footage, amazing film. So I highly recommend it.
Yes.
I think it's on Netflix right now, if I'm not mistaken, but.
I was going to say, I think I watched it again on Netflix.
Yeah.
So, you know,
that's a Reelblack recommendation.
Indeed, it is. And of course, you know, here in Philadelphia, we have Jeff Bradshaw, and one of the great things from his debut album is they did Make It Funky with Bilal doing the vocals, and in the, you know, kind of spoken part leading into the actual beginning of the song, they were like, you do realize that you're Jeff Bradshaw, so today we're the JBs, you know. And I thought that was really cute, you know, just, you know, knowing your history and giving a nod.
Well, it runs deep. It runs deep. You have to, but you have to look for it. It's not going to just show up in front of you.
That's right.
You know, so you got to support.
You got to share
black media,
as we say in music.
Buy your Ebony magazines while you still can.
Yeah.
And get your Essence magazines
and all of those things.
Go to the barbershop and, you know, pick up. Well, I'm sure, you know, I know.
Don't encourage people to pick up the bootlegs.
No, I'm saying there's a basement somewhere in North Philly that has every Jet magazine ever printed. Some barbershop basement. Go there.
I'm sure it does.
Go talk to those brothers.
If it still has the page that had the Jet Beauty on it, because a lot of those got ripped out and got put on people's walls.
See, that would be my movie. I'll make an official pitch. They just announced that Ebony Magazine's moving to LA. Right. So and they signed a deal with William Morris so that they can exploit some of their properties.
Yes.
I put my name in the hat. I want to make the Jet Beauty of the Week documentary.
We had on Lamont
McClellan, you start there.
From Fifth Dimension,
he did a lot of those photo spreads. So you track down all the Jet Beauties of the Weeks and find out how they got the job and where they are now, and then you show pictures of them, and then you go to Lamont's house and you get all the outtakes and you get all the stories. I'd pay to see that. I'd keep my Netflix subscription.
I was going to say, I'm sure. See, so Kayla J, I want you to note this conversation that he's having right now.
Somebody will steal
it. So that we do not get disparaged when we talked about going to see the Baywatch movie purely for the eye candy.
Noted.
Well, this is historic. Some of these women, they're at home being yelled at by their grandchildren, and the grandchildren just don't know. I was a Beauty of the Week one back in the day. I was standing in Chicago by the lake being photographed, and y'all got the nerve to yell at me. You're not going to go pick up my medicine. You know, I want to. You know, this is living history.
The whole narrative now.
He really is.
I'm telling you. Look, if I'm just saying, William Morris.
I like the idea a lot.
I'm saying, who would go pay see that? Put some comments on the Facebook. Let's get that started. Let's get some Kickstarter. You know, I'm tired every time I turn on Netflix. There's some story. Joe Shlomo, who managed, you know, the Birds back in the day. I don't need that. I want Beauty of the Week. I'm paying the same $10. I don't need all this stuff. Anyway, you got me started.
I did.
And they're canceling all the shows. That's the other news. They canceled Pitch. They canceled
I
Rosewood.
never watched it. I
They
watched
canceled
it a couple
Rosewood?
times.
After 2 seasons.
Most people didn't think it was going to last past the first season, so the fact that they got 2 seasons out of it.
Yeah, they were lucky. They had a good time slot. They were pushing that one. But,
yes.
But but then there's surprising stuff like Bones got canceled after 12 seasons. I'm like, I didn't even know it was still on.
I didn't know that they were still doing new episodes. I sure didn't.
I'm like,
because every time I see it on, it's in syndication.
That's like it's like certain people manage to keep their jobs just by like laying low.
But shout out to our weatherman because the co-star is his son. Mm-hmm. So it's Philadelphia ties to Bones.
I didn't know Tim Allen had a show for 6 years.
Yeah, the Last Man Standing.
That is great.
It's over.
What?
He ain't got no job no more. He's
Mike
back.
he's just bursting bubbles.
I just started.
Just like, nope.
I just got into that show.
Well, you're too late. You should have watched it before.
Erica Alexander's on it.
Sorry, Erica. You got to go back and write some comic books. Yeah, out of work. Look, if they can fire Comey, I don't feel too bad about Tim Allen today. But
I'm gonna feel bad for Erica.
Comey was my man. Actually, wasn't.
Thank you.
I'm just fronting. Having fun here. Scandal. They got renewed,
but season 7 is it?
That's it. Yeah,
one more season.
So she said the reason why she thought she knew how the show was going to end, and now all the political climate has changed the whole narrative of the story.
Yeah, it really has. But I think even those of us who were diehard in the beginning are like, okay, we've gone from the sublime to the ridiculous. So at this point, their decision to end it with one more season, I think most of us who have been fans over the years are like, that's okay.
And I think Shauna, they're about to know she's got some new shows coming.
She's got Lovey's show coming.
Yeah. Oh, what's
Lovey Ajayi. So for those of you who have seen the I'm Judging You book, we've had her on the air to talk about that. She writes regular blogs at Awesomely Lovey, LUVVIE.com. So she now has a project in development with Shondaland. So it'll be very interesting to see how Shonda's development deal continues to evolve and, how she engages the opportunity to just put shows on the air. Mm-hmm. And, who she I dubbed the next, the next rising star.
Well, that's fantastic. Each one teach one. You got to bring people up. And I forget, this is like 3 weeks ago. I forgot to mention there was a movie called, I think it's Unforgettable with Rosario Dawson. It'll be coming soon to a video store near you.
The new Fatal Attraction.
Yeah,
and Katherine Heigl.
It's come and gone already. But out this, it's a slow week in movies. So
let me just get in my really quick mention of Dear White People, the series. Mm-hmm. So for those of you who heard our conversation with Justin Simeon, who have read the book, who in some way have engaged with this material, I would say it is definitely, I don't know that it's quite NC-17, but it is not PG-13. Okay. I'm sure there are some parents. There are some parents who would not like their 13-year-olds observing some of the things that they show in the series. However, the conversation around what happens on college campuses, and as you mentioned earlier, finding yourself and being very comfortable with who you are now, that is so prevalent in the storyline of how they approach these 10 episodes of the Netflix series. The not knowing exactly who you're trying to be and figuring it out as you go along is something that I related to deeply. Because I felt like my whole world got upended when I came to Penn. And so kind of regrounding yourself in the things that make you you, and figuring out how that interweaves with the campus and the campus climate and how all those things evolve is crucial for anybody. And so here we are in graduation season. So there are a lot of parents out there who are going to be sending their children off to school in August and September, concerned about how they're going to survive and thrive on these campuses. Yeah. So, it's a relevant conversation. There's just a whole lot of extracurricular happening.
Well, I watched the first episode. We're waiting to try to get Justin on again. But by the time we get him on, I'll have seen the whole thing. But your mini review, I mean, is it recommended? Is A plus B, C?
I would say watch it, and I'll hang tight over the break as we come back into the noon hour, I got a chance to meet Debbie Allen and interview Debbie Allen 2 days ago.
Different
and
role.
so it's so precisely. So it you know, there's some meshing there in terms of talking about college experience and how it's depicted that I think is kind of relevant to that conversation.
Well, right on to that. So for those who don't know, who don't subscribe to my newsletter, we're having a special show tonight at 7:15. We're showing Beloved in tribute to the late Jonathan Demme.
Yes.
And we have a very special guest Skyping in to talk about their involvement with the film.
And Mike always gets really cool special guests Skyping in.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen it, this is a great opportunity to get some insight and not only into the film, but the making of the film. And there's a big Philly connection because it was shot here.
It was shot here.
And I worked on it.
I will say, however, if you do not read Toni Morrison, if you have never read the book and you have never seen the film, come with an open mind because it's different. It is not a straight narrative like we see with other storytelling.
It's very helpful if you're familiar with the story going in.
Yes.
It's similar to the James Brown biopic, where a lot of people are like, what is this? But if you know James Brown's story already, you're like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And even I rewatched it again this week, and there were just picking up on things. I mean, there's a lot of stuff they alluded to. They had they went over budget and they had to cut a lot of stuff out of the book that they shot. It's just alluded to, a big chunk of the story is kind of missing, but the way it's presented is such an honor. There's a spirit running through that whole movie, and even the ending. Well, it's not the ending, but the climactic scene.
Yes.
There's no way it's not going to hit you emotionally because of the way he weaves the music and the visuals and the movie. It's really
Thandie Newton, Oprah Winfrey, Danny Glover. Just
it's a different film. It's an American film, but it's not a Hollywood film.
Right.
And it's one of those things that it could have only occurred in that way in that very specific time and place. They made that film right after Oprah made her deal with Disney and ABC, and so she used that power to push that one through.
And the same way that I love watching films like Trading Places and Philadelphia and the other Denzel film.
Manchurian Candidate, Jonathan Demme, or
no
Training Day.
The other one he shot here.
Philadelphia.
There was another one. Fallen, yes. So there are places, and Sixth Sense. So there are, the way you like watching films that were shot here, to look at landmarks and see how much the areas have changed over time based on when they were shot. Beloved is a really interesting way to see how certain areas of Old City, they put up new facades on the buildings, they transform them, but there are going to be reasons, if you've never seen this before, why certain places feel familiar is because it was shot, a lot of it was shot out in the state parks and everything, so the surrounding area.
Yeah, Elkton, Delaware, and then they used part
there were some parts.
Second Street.
Yeah, and right down in Old City.
And Shores Lane and Manioc, those were the primary urban locations. But a lot of it was just on a farm out in Elkton.
Yeah.
So, but it's dope. I mean, so, I'm not going to give away who our special guest is, but it should be a fun night. And I know there's other events happening tonight
as well. Yeah, so we'll get to that on the other side of the break because we've got to go. But we appreciate always, Mike D. Thank you for the great information and for our guests. And we will continue to support good things the black folks are doing in film and TV.
We're George and Wheezy. Look out, Breakfast Club.
Moving on up now that we're on FM. We'll tell you more about that.
Stay out of my dressing room.
Quick break, ladies and gentlemen. We'll say bye to those of you who are checking us out on the Facebook Live feed, but we'll be back with our third hour of today's TGIF edition of The Mojo in just a sec.
Do you think our city